So my dad made me this knife, which is really cool, except for the fact that it's kind of impractical due to it being made out of metal, which is one of the heavier materials that a thing can be made out of. So it can be a lot to lug around just to open a package or slice a banana in half. And it's also way too sharp, so I keep cutting myself on it accidentally whenever I'm trying to pick it up. But to top it all off, I can't even take it on an airplane without the fascist TSA harassing me about it. So to solve these problems, I came up with an ingenious idea. What if I made a knife out of a material that wasn't particularly sharp or heavy that I could also take on an airplane? So I decided to make a knife out of recycled plastic. Things like shampoo bottles, detergent containers, milk jugs, all sorts of crap like that you mix all together, and voila, you have a thumbnail that I think is pretty clickable, and I guess you agree. So let's get into the actual knife making. So basically the way that we're going to make the knives is by cutting them out of a plastic sheet. Now, in order to make sure that the sheet is like evenly sized and is an even thickness, we need to build a frame for it. So Vance is going to weld the frame together. And while Vance is doing that, I'm going to be off in my little corner doing my thing. So now that we have all the plastic ground up and the frame ready to make a sheet, we're going to do that. We're going to make the sheet. Pour a bunch of plastic into the frame, and then we put it in this little press that's hot, and it melts the plastic and presses. And in some amount of time, a plastic sheet is going to come out. In the meantime, while we're waiting for the plastic to melt, we're sort of workshopping the design for what will ultimately become the knife.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
After the drafting process was finished, we came up with a couple of prototypes to test out.
God, oh no. Feel in your hand.
And after many trials and tests and examinations and experiments,
If that isn't exactly what happened last time.
we've come up with the perfect design. And now that the plastic is done, our machine is going to cut out the perfect knife. Perfect. So we have one knife, but we weren't able to cut out more than one because we didn't cook the plastic long enough, and so it didn't melt all the way. So we're actually making another sheet with more colors, a more vibrant sheet to give us a greater variety of knives. Now this certainly looks like a knife, but it's not particularly sharp yet. So we have to sharpen the blade. So now that we've finished this sheet, we can cut the rest of the knives out. We ended up having room for 3 more knives. And here they are. This is sort of a 90s knife. This one, it's kind of got a 90s aesthetic. You know how the cups have the 90s on them? Kind of like that. I like this one. I think it's my favorite. We have this black one. I think the black one sort of looks okay. It's not as good as the inverse, but it works all right. The Necro Death Dark Blade. This one's red. It's sort of going to be the red one. Here we have the original mixed one. It's more along the lines of something you would put on the ground if you wanted to hide, like, I don't know, bodily fluids or popcorn. And now it's time to test the knives. We're going to test the knives out by sort of imagining placing ourselves in a sort of self-defense situation. Somebody's knocking on your doorbell. It's like, what, 8, 9 p.m.? And on Halloween of one of the scariest nights of all the year? Answer the door. Who's there? Well, they're about 2.5 feet tall. So, most likely a child. Kind of a bad partner for like this improvisational role play scenario. Not the best partner, not really a yes and guy. I don't know how they would still be kicking at this point. I guess, you know what, at that point, just try maybe to cut them in half. There, that's like the thirds rule. The little movie magic, the thirds rule. Wow. Come on. We're gonna make, okay, see, now his freaking brain's popping out of his eye. I think we won. I think we beat him. At this point, I'm just gonna, honestly, that's hard. That's hard to do compared to stabbing it. So I think the knife is working quite well. Yeah. So while there wasn't a lot of immediate bleeding, there's some tissue damage actually. We're just gonna set him aside for right now. He wants to fall down. Let's put his brain back in his head so he can balance. Okay. This knife absolutely working very well, honestly. The handle came apart a little bit, but I mean, realistically, I mean, we could have secured that better. So the blade itself, though, kind of did pretty cool. That knife worked really great, but I don't want to just test that one. I want to test all of them. This guy, this is our next little test subject. Hitler is sort of a messed up guy, sort of had a twisted, dark view of the world. You see, he thought that the Nazis were the good guys. Needless to say, a real jerk. And so, we're gonna have some fun with Hitler by killing him to death. If you're gonna stab a facsimile of a person in the face, they either have to be sort of like vague and indescript like this, or they have to be the evilest guy of all time. And other than, like, I don't know, maybe the devil, this is the worst fellow I could find around. I'm taking on Hitler in the marketplace of ideas, and my idea is to use a knife to stab him in the brain. I cut his ear off. Hitler, not that great of a guy, okay? People really hyping him up. But he's just literally a head on a box right now. Okay, well. That didn't really make him bleed very much. I struggled to cut Hitler's ear off with this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think the other one's a bit sharper. It's kind of serrated because we didn't melt the plastic enough, but hey, you know, God makes perfect little accidents just like that every day. Let's use the red one. Red and black. Iconic Hitler colors. Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. Where do we begin? Sort of a pincher maneuver. Oh, it's like the Soviet Union and the US. Look at that.